Wednesday 13 is my guest today, and we're going to have that interview coming right up for you. But before we get to that, if you could very quickly, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or to the podcast wherever you listen. You'll be the first to know of new episodes, and I've got some really exciting guests planned for the show. It's going to be a great variety of musicians, authors, psychologists, actors, and other interesting folks. So I think you're going to enjoy them. Back to my guest today, Wednesday 13. He's got a new album coming out in October that we're going to talk about, plus an upcoming tour. And of course, we're going to dig into the old stuff, like when he got the call from Joey Jordison of Slipknot that jumpstarted his whole music career, the origin of his stage name, and so much more. Don't go anywhere.
And it's still early here. I just woke up.
Oh, you're in North Carolina, right?
Oh, I'm in L.A. So it's 9 a.m. here.
Oh, what the hell are you doing in L.A.? Are you on tour now?
I live in Los Angeles. I've lived here for 13 years. I'm originally from North Carolina. Yeah, but I
thought you still lived in North Carolina. Yeah.
Oh, no. I am a West Coast now. I've been here since 2010 or 2008, 2009. I started moving here, but I moved here officially in like 2010. So
okay. Do you feel like you have to be there for the business, like for the music? It's enough to where it makes sense for you to live there?
No. No, I'm just wasting money living here, raining the weather pretty much. Los Angeles is great. When I first came here, it was kind of like an accident. I was going through a divorce, and I thought the best thing to do was be 3,000 miles away from my ex. So I just stayed in Los Angeles, and it's kind of became home. But at the same time, I tour 6 months out of the year, or used to be 8 months out of the year. So I was always traveling. So this has been the home base, and this is where I stay now. So we'll see if North Carolina's in the cards for later on in life. We'll find out. But for now, this is where I'm at. Okay.
All your bandmates are there too, then?
Nope. I wish I could make it easy on everybody, but
yeah.
The band has been scattered since its existence, just because everybody was from different places. So as of right now, 3 of us are in California, and the other 2, one in Texas, and the other one goes between Oregon and the UK because his wife's in the UK. So he travels. So whenever it's not a lot of time for rehearsal. So whenever we get a tour booked, we go, all right, everybody do their homework, and we got 3 days to learn this, and we rehearse and go. So there's no, hey, let's get together and rehearse this week. Let's practice, let's jam. And that never, ever happens.
Okay. So is the set list for this tour, is it pretty much set for every show, or can you throw in some surprises?
I have no idea what we're going to do yet. I have a list of about 25, 26 songs that, for the guys, for us all to learn, although we usually can't play, but when I do the math on it, it's usually about 19 songs that'll fit a 90-minute set with the talking in between and the intros, outros, all that kind of stuff. So for the upcoming tour, which is still 2.5 months away, I just made a list of songs over the course of my career, and we're going to see what sounds good when we rehearse, and we'll make a set list up. So I mean, there's preparation for the tour, but a lot of it really, I put it all together once we all get together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. So what kinds of things will there be on stage? Is that going to be a surprise too? Like, I mean, in terms of like stage props and costumes and things?
According, like the last tour we just did was more like I'm calling this the 20 Years of Fear tour, which is what we just did in the US. And we're about the next part's the second leg of that. Basically what I did for this tour, and I planned for the next tours, we kind of scaled it back. We sort of let the music be the main focus, as opposed to crazy stage props or me running off every 3 songs and changing into costumes. So this was really just kind of a celebration of the music, and so that's kind of what I've been going for. I mean, we're still a visual band. We have all of our lights and backdrops, and everybody's got their stage outfits and stuff. So it's not too much of I'm not really predicting a crazy theatrical show. This is, again, it's just sort of celebrating the last 20 years of what I've been doing. So, but there's, again, I come up with stuff all the time. I mean, we're in the middle of a tour, you know, I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this tonight on stage. Hey, look what I found behind this garbage dump here. Oh, let's put this on stage. So, you know, like I said, I have ideas. I just kind of, I like to do a lot of things kind of on the moment and what feels right. So it's kind of hard to get a plan together and with, like I said, when everyone's so scattered apart, and
Yeah.
I just get the main idea together. And once we all get together, I see what works and what doesn't.
Okay. And then obviously there'll be meet and greets on this too. That's a big part of touring now. That's like how you guys have to make your money, right?
Yes, it's been a very, very good thing for us, and I imagine for other bands as well. And you know, it's crazy. It's like I think the VIP meet and greet thing sort of become a standard thing for, I think, what fans expect now. But like, you know, 12 years ago, I think the only bands that were doing VIPs were like Kiss that I knew of, and you paid like $1,000 to do it. And I remember back in 2009, I started doing VIPs and meet and greets for the first time. No other bands around me were doing that kind of thing. I was just fucking broke. And I just started, I was fucking broke. And I'm like, man, how can we make some extra money on this tour? And I'm like, well, fuck, people will pay $1,000 to meet Kiss. Maybe somebody will pay $100 to meet me, but I'll give them this. I'll give them a backstage pass. I'll give them they can come to the sound check. They can get a t-shirt from the merch. They get to hang out with us. So I kind of just I always refer to Kiss. Kiss is the greatest, my favorite band probably of all time, and merchandise and everything they've done has just been what I kind of modeled everything after. So, so when I started doing the meet and greets back in 2009, I kept doing those every year up until now. I mean, I used to do VI pizza parties on the bus with meet and greet people, and just I've pretty much done everything. Be a roadie for a day, be my guest for the day, get to hang out with me on the, you know. So I did every little level, and then after the COVID break, we you know, we came back out for this last tour, and our meet and greets had like quadrupled in numbers. Like, it was just, I feel like that's just a thing that people feel like it's part of the deal. They can buy a ticket to the show, they can meet the band. But before, I used to be kind of like pulling teeth. Go, come on, you know, you want to meet us? Come on.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. So do you like doing that, or is that kind of, it seems like it'd be a little bit stressful because you're trying to get ready for a show and now you got to have fans at the sound check and everywhere? Or...
Yeah, that's why I kind of stopped doing, well, the I guess the thing about in the past was when I offered those slots, it was only a couple of people. It wasn't like you had 10, 20 people.
Right.
Now we do greets. Sometimes we pull up to a venue and they go, oh, you got 30 meet and greets today. And I'm like, fuck, I can't put 30 people on the side of the stage. So luckily I've took my responsibilities down as far as being a host for the whole day. We have our meet and greet. Usually it's around sound check or after sound check. People come in and do the thing. But I've definitely took it to extreme levels before over the years where I'm just like, man, I don't have time to do my show anymore. I'm busy doing this. So yeah, you kind of live and learn with these things and learn what you can do and what you can't, what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, so what about with merch? Because you used to have like toy figures and stuff. Not this round. You're not going to have the toys, but you'll have shirts and patches and anything else. Everything.
I mean, I'm all about, like I said, mentioning Kiss before. They're the merchandise king, so I always kind of model everything I do after that. So I want when you come into our show, I want our merchandise and everything to look like you just went to the Wednesday 13 store.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, we try to have as much stuff as we can there. I mean, you have your typical shirts and tour shirts, and we have patches and flags and hats. And like you mentioned in the past, I worked with a company before that did some action figures. So one tour we had like a limited 25 like action figures that were autographed that we sold, and which we're going to do again in the future. I don't have it exactly planned for this upcoming run, but I'm always trying to throw little surprises and stuff. I mean, everybody in the band, we sell guitar picks, all kinds of stuff at the table. So like I said, it's like your one-stop Wednesday 13 shop.
That's awesome. And so in this round too, there's not going to be any opening bands that you're necessarily taking on tour. Is it going to be local bands that will be opening?
Yeah, we tried this the last time. I mean, most times when you see any bands, you'll see a tour package. You'll be, this band and support from this band and your opening band, and then they'll also get local bands on the shows. But for us, again, when you're coming out of the COVID crisis, and gas is ridiculous now. So we're always trying to find ways to make a little extra money and everything. So it's just yeah, man, it's been every time we go on tour, I learn something new and learn a different way to do something, I think.
Yeah. So that's good because the local bands will bring in their own fans, and then hopefully they'll stay to watch you guys. That's a smart way to get more fans in.
You're right. I mean, it's basically like this. If we took a band, I kind of got off track before, but what I'm saying is, if we take support bands with us, and the venue says, all right, we're going to give Wednesday 13 X amount of money, but we got to give 500 to this band, and this band gets another 300, and you go, well, okay. And then the last tour, my agent goes, well, if you don't take any bands, you'll just get all that money yourself. And I went, why didn't we do this before?
Yeah.
I was like, so that's literally, it was about money. It's, because sometimes we take support bands with us, even though I like the support bands, giving them $500 or something, and they go, wow, we brought 5 people here, and now you're getting $500. So it's, it's like, so it basically makes the local bands work. They get to sell the tickets. It's in the local venue. So it's not just someone coming from out of the blue and going, hey, where's everybody at? We have responsibility from the venues to sell tickets and the band. So that's just something we tried the last tour. It worked out for us financially. We had met a lot of cool bands. Most of the bands that open up for us are fans, so it's been a cool thing. It's like I said, every year we learn different ways of doing things, or how to do things, or how not to do things. So doing the thing just on our own, not taking a support band, worked out for us. And so we're trying it again this time, and we'll see if it does the same as it did last.
Cool. So then tell me about the new album. It's coming out in October. You wrote like over 50 songs for this one?
I wrote about 50 ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we only put like 11 tracks on the record. And I mean, I guess that's kind of a normal thing I do with every record. I write a lot of stuff, and that's, 50 things that's collectively between what I came up with, what our guitarist and bass, everyone kind of threw a bunch of songs in. But the COVID thing was not, even though we had the time off. I know a lot of bands took that time off to go, oh, well, fuck, I got nothing to do. We'll write a record. And that's our mindset too. Okay, we got nothing to do. Let's write a record. But I just was so uninspired to write during that time. I found this 2 years off it was the hardest time to write, or at least the hardest time for me I was just second guessing myself a lot. So that's why I wrote all these songs. Like the first 10 songs that I wrote are what's on the new album.
Oh, okay.
I kept second guessing myself because I kept rewriting stuff. So I probably rewrote this record or ideas for it probably 3 different times. And then finally at the end, I went, I think I like the first batch of stuff I wrote the best.
And with some of the stuff you wrote, it was just kind of too depressing, because it's like if you're in that pandemic phase, it was kind of a depressing time. So
it's a depressing time. I mean, for everybody, that was just the world shut down, And then also during those 2 years, I lost my mother. I lost my buddy Joey Jordison. So I had not only what everybody else was going through, I had that on top of it. So that was a difficult thing. It's still difficult to process that. So yeah, I mean, I turn to music to kind of get me out of that spot, and I was writing stuff that just wasn't really helping. And I promised myself I wasn't going to make a sad, depressing record coming out of COVID. I refused, even though I was sad and depressed, and still am to an extent. But I wanted to make a fun record, so that's why this record's I'm just excited for it to get out. You know what I mean? I've never sat on a record and worked on something and had to wait this fucking long for something to come out. So so yeah, it's been a weird record. And also this is the 9th Wednesday 13 record, you know. That's almost, in my mind, I compare it to like, if you're making the 9th Friday the 13th movie, like where the fuck do you go from here? How do you keep the fans happy? How do you keep them, how do you not go overboard? And so all that time just gave me too much time to think about stuff. And so yeah, this record's been I love the record. It turned out great. I'm super happy with it, but at the same time, I've just been way too close to it. So I'm excited for everybody else to get to hear it and get opinions of it. And you know, that's kind of how what you always do with a record. You make something you like, and you hope everybody else is going to like it too. So I think once I hear everybody else's reaction to it, that'll make it a little better. But it's just been a weird time. I don't have really how to explain it, but it was just, I was uninspired, but somehow we pulled a great record out of this.
Okay. Can you give us any song titles or themes? I think I heard you say there's a song about Christine, the Stephen King book and movie.
You know, again, I didn't try to delve into any personal things. This is still just a horror movie album. So we have a song, Christine, Fury in the Night, which is about one of my favorite John Carpenter films. I have a sequel to one of my older songs. We have a song called Return to Haddonfield, which is like part 2 to one of my old Halloween songs. But one of the first single, which we're going to do the video for in like 2 weeks, is a song called You're So Hideous, which to me sounds like it could be an Alice Cooper single. It's like Poison.
Oh, okay.
It's just got that vibe to it, at least with me, but
Cool.
the vibe of it. And another song we had, which was kind of inspired by the pandemic. I remember they have a new song called It's a Good Day to Be a Bad Guy. And I wrote that title the very first day that I heard that masks were mandatory. And I went, are you kidding me? You're going to force people to wear a mask? I went, well, it's a good fucking day to be a bad guy.
That's a cool title. I like that.
Became that the title. So that's one of the standout tracks to it. That's one of the very first songs I wrote, like early on, and like I said, and it's got old Wednesday 13 vibes, Murderdolls vibes to it. It's just the song is as cool as the title.
Okay. Is there some like I like some of the song titles even of your old songs? Just like before you even hear the song, you're like, oh, that's a great title. Like you had a song called Your Mother Sucks Cocks in Hell. I was like, oh, that's like the line from The Exorcist. And that's a great song too. Is there songs like that with those kinds of titles?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of been my little shtick that I've always stuck to, is like you said, before you even hear the song, you read the title and go, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it's always very important to me to have song titles when you look at the CD or an album before you buy it. You go, whoa, I got to hear this. You don't have song one. You know, like every title's got to have. And I'll spend weeks staring at a track listing and go, man, that doesn't look right. Let me rearrange this. So yeah, that's kind of been my little shtick I've always done, as I've always kind of made catchy songs, but then throw in lyrical stuff and make you, what did he just say? You know, it's like you said, Your Mother Sucks Cocks in Hell. Like that title alone is going to get someone's attention. But and I said, our first single, it's super catchy, but it's got the word fuck in it. I don't know how many times. It's part of the chorus.
Okay.
So it's almost like, all right, that's a catchy chorus, but fucking is in the chorus. It's called You're Hideous. It's called You're So Hideous. You're so fucking hideous is what I say. So it's just like you got this catchy song, but you're going, oh, that can't be on the radio. I can't, you know.
So do you have to do an edit or something, or do you even care anymore?
Well, if miraculously this song somehow strikes millions and they go, hey, let's get a radio edit, then it would just ruin the whole vibe of the song. So no,
right.
I haven't had any ideas. I mean, it's crazy that, like I said, that song, You're So Hideous, and Good Day to Be a Bad Guy are my 2 favorite songs on the record, 2 singles, catchy, but they got the word fuck in it probably 20 times each.
So what do you think that even matters anymore? Like what age would you recommend kids be to listen to one of your albums or come to a show? Like, do you think there's a cutoff at some point?
No, I mean, at this day and age, I mean, there's our fans are having kids. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I have a granddaughter who's almost 5, and I got a video of her yesterday listening to one of my songs with a monster mask on. And I'm like, you're 5, you know? I don't even know. I'm not the person to judge and say this is the age for people. I don't know. But I think what it all comes around to is my music has always been fun. It's never been able to take too seriously. So even if kids did get into it, I think you're still going to have a good kid. He's just going to have a bad sense of humor.
Yeah. So do you think that's partly like the parenting and stuff though? Cause I mean, do you ever worry about that? Like, I mean, probably not as much now, maybe more when your fans were younger, but then again, like you said, your fans are having kids. Like when you have the song, what's the one you had about the song you have about suicide or whatever? Like, do you worry that someone's going to be inspired to do some sort of real murder or real suicide?
No. I also think, again, my kind of songs, if I have like a suicide song, maybe you're talking about Summertime Suicide. That song is basically a Romeo and Juliet song. I tell a story. So I'm not saying, go and kill yourself or anything. I tell stories that way. So I really haven't thought about, like I said, for some reason, I feel like people get my sense of humor. So they don't ever look at it like that. You can take a band like us or Alice Cooper and go, I get it. Sense of humor, fun. And then you look at a band like Satyricon or Behemoth, which I love, and go, maybe they're a little scarier. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
a big difference between that.
But it's art. So, but I guess the other the side of the coin is that there may be people there are probably a lot more that listen to your music where it saves them. Like I know for me, like metal as a kid, like that got me through being a teenager, because being a teenager sucks. But then you listen to metal and you're like, all right, you get out your anger with some Pantera or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been my escape. Music has always been my escape for me. All those bands I grew up on, are still my favorite bands. Ones I listen to. Like I don't even really listen to anything new except for me. I'm always listening to classic stuff, and that's just music has always been an escape for me, and I feel the same way for what I do for my fans. I'm giving them an escape from reality. They come to my show and turn off their brain. They don't think about work. They don't think about their life. They can get into the show, and that's what I hear people all the time. But I hear, even though my music, or whatever you want to call it, with Your Mother Sucks Cocks in Hell and these kind of songs,
it's a great title.
I have people at these VIPs we were just talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, every single day, there is one person that will do the VIP, will do the picture, I'll sign stuff, and they'll pull me like the sign, go, hey, I just want to tell you that you saved my life. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like I went through horrible time, blah, 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 just different stories. But people, I hear that every single day on tour. And it makes me go, man, this is worthwhile. I am helping people. So I never hear anybody going, you know what? I listen to your music. I did a lot of fucked up stuff. It's always it's usually like your music saved me from death, or this relationship, or I'm going through this. So it's
I fucking love hearing stuff like that. That's so cool.
And every day, I'm doing the meet and greets, and I'm just like, wow. And we have our merchandise person who brings the VIPs in, and I'm like, did you just hear that? I'm like, wow, man. So every day we'll sit and talk, and it's such a cool thing, man. Music has been a healing thing for me, and knowing that I can do that for my fans, there's nothing better than that. It can make my bad day instantly change into a good day when someone tells me that. Like I don't know how you can even not react to that,
No, that's amazing. So yeah, I mean, because your story is pretty inspiring too. Like, I mean, you were driven to make it, right? I mean, you were working at like was it Kmart or Walmart, where
Kmart.
you get to tell me the story. I didn't understand this. Like the guy when Joey called you from Slipknot, like how did he even find your number? Like he listened to the Frankenstein drag queen band, and then he recruited you for the Murderdolls?
Yes. I'll try to make this short story, but it's
okay.
Basically I was 1999 or 97 to like 2000. I worked at Kmart. Then 2000 to 2001, I worked at a magazine delivery. I drove a big truck that delivered everything you see in your grocery stores, your National Enquirer, your everything, every Rolling Stone, any magazine you saw, that was my job. So I was doing that job, and at the time I had just put out the 3rd Frankenstein Drag Queen CD. You could order it from me through the mail. I'd mail it from my house. And the guy that Joey was playing with, Joey had a band called the Rejects in Des Moines that he would do on the side of Slipknot when they would have off tour. So the front guy of that band told Joey, like, hey, check out this band, Frankenstein Drag Queen. So I ordered this CD from this guy. Check it out. And I guess he made a copy, and Joey took it on tour and listened to it. And when he came back and he was putting together the idea for the Rejects again, because Rejects was only 2 people, Joey and another guy, and they would get other people to kind of fill in the thing. So I was on the list of people that could potentially be in this band. And but at this time, Slipknot was coming off the road for their second album, and they knew they were going to be off the road for probably a couple of years. So Joey was putting a more serious project together. I think he was in his mind, he's like, okay, I'm going to do the Rejects with this new lineup. And at the time, Trip from Static X was involved in it. So Joey was trying to make like this kind of like little new super group. And when I came in, I was literally just the bass player. I was going to play bass, which is odd enough.
Because you didn't play bass, and you play guitar and sang, right?
I play guitar, but most people, if you can play guitar, you can play punk rock bass. So
yeah,
I'm like, but at the time I'm sort of driving this fucking delivery truck, and I'm like, you know what? I'll play bass. I'll play a kazoo. I don't give a fuck. I want out. I want into this world. I want to do this. And once I started working with Joey, he was just like, he kind of said the same thing as me. He's like, you're not a bass player, you're a front guy, and these are your songs, and you should do it. So I switched to the front guy status, and that's kind of where it all started. So,
but the moment where he called you, I mean, that must have been a crazy moment to get a phone call, and it's like, hey, this is Joey from Slipknot. Because had you ever met him before or anything?
No, and here's what was so cool about it. And again, like, I'm friends. I mean, obviously, I know the Slipknot family. I'm friends with Corey Taylor. I know all those guys now. But when Joey Jordison called me, I wasn't a fan of Slipknot. I wasn't a hater either. I just wasn't. It wasn't my thing, But I obviously knew who they were because I had literally just put the Rolling Stone cover on the shelf that they were on.
Oh,
and
wow.
He calls me and leaves a message on my answering machine like, hey, this is Joey Jordison of Slipknot. Give me a call. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I call the dude up. I don't know who he is. I'm just, in my mind, I'm visualizing that cover of Rolling Stone. And I'm like, so which guy are you? And there's like 20 of you. And he's like, I'm the cool looking guy. I'm the glam guy. I'm the guy with the redness here. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, you are the cool looking guy. So he's like, are you a fan of Slipknot? I went, nope, ain't my thing. And I was like, I don't really. I said, and during that time when Joey first met me, I was a glam rock, punk rock, just diehard. If I didn't like other stuff. And I was like, he goes, do you like Slipknot? I was like, ain't my thing. You guys look goofy. You like you're bobbing for apples when you're doing this stuff on stage. Like, I would make fun of this stuff, and he loved it.
What?
He thought it was hilarious because he didn't necessarily want someone that idolized him. You know what I mean? Like,
he really respected you a lot for saying that.
We just became friends, and it wasn't because this guy's in Slipknot. I didn't care, you know what I mean? So he just always thought that was the coolest thing, was that I wasn't like, a Slipknot like diehard. And over the years, I've come to love Slipknot, respect everything they do, understand the band, But at the time, I was like, I don't care about this. Whatever, you guys, whatever.
That's funny that you would even just say that, though. You wouldn't say, yeah. You would lie and say you're a fan because you wanted to get the job or whatever.
No. No, I didn't. I mean, but again, I've always been honest when I do stuff, and I'm like, it's not my thing, and there's tons of bands that I'm friends with, and I don't necessarily like their music. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not I'm not a heavy metal guy. I grew up on rock and punk rock, and that's kind of always been my thing. I'm friends with all these bands that are huge, heavy bands. I'm like, you're my buddy, but like I've been friends with Randy of Lamb of God for years, and I don't think I listened to him until about 2-3 years ago. Same thing with
Wow.
Jamie from Hatebreed, and like knew him for years. I did a tour for 6 weeks and never even saw them play, but hung out with him every day. So that's, I don't know. That's just, you meet a lot of cool people in this business, and it doesn't matter. They're not friends because they like each other's bands. They're just friends.
That's
And that's how I met
interesting.
a lot of people. So
That's a refreshing. I'm sure that's true, but a lot of people wouldn't admit that. A lot of, oh yeah, I like this. You just are more honest.
yeah, and some people just, they choose not to say anything. I'm sure there's people that are friends with me that hate my band.
Yeah.
It sucks. I like Wednesday. He's cool. All right, good enough.
But yeah, so you are a fan of like the more of the glam rock and stuff though. Like I heard you say, which I was like, oh my God, we're kindred spirits because you love Skid Row and you love Sebastian Bach, that Slave to the Grind album. That was the same thing for me. That was like, oh, this is such a great album.
That's the reason I started singing. Skid Row was my, what was that, ninth grade, 10th grade year of high school, meeting my high school sweetheart. We both loved Skid Row. She thought Sebastian was, and I did too. I thought he was the ultimate rock star. And I could just,
Definitely.
and I see how he would move the audience and make girls scream, every guy wanted to be him and every girl wanted him, kind of deal. And I was like, this could be a good job. Maybe I could get into this. So, but again, I'm 15-year-old, 14-year-old guitar player, never even tried to sing before. But once I joined a band, became a guitarist. We couldn't find a vocalist for 6-7 months. And I went, fuck it, I'll try it. So I grabbed the mic and I started singing, and everybody's like, whoa, you sound cool. And I'm like, all right. So that's when I started trying to do it. So Sebastian and Alice Cooper are my voice models. And if you listen to my voice, that's exactly what I sound like.
It's hard to sing Sebastian's style though, right? That high, I mean, it's got to hurt your voice.
It's hard to do, but I give people every tour, not every week, but I have people constantly since I've been doing music. You kind of sound like Sebastian a little bit on this song. Okay, cool. Just little hints there. I've never been able to do the belting out kind of stuff that Sebastian can do, but his nasty little demeanor and dark attitude. He just had an attitude with his voice, and that's something that I was able to capture. And but yeah, Alice and Sebastian were my role models as far as like what I wanted to sound like, and somehow I did it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. So, and you were a Crew fan too, right? Or still a Crew fan? Was Crew? So I was confused on this. Is Motley Crue your first tour, or was it Tough? Because I thought I heard both things.
My very first concert was Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood.
Okay, it was.
My very first club concert was Tough.
Oh, okay, that's what it is.
So that was the two bands I saw. One on a giant level, like Dr. Feelgood. I saw Warrant and Motley Crue on the Dr. Feelgood tour. So I see your Warrant behind you, which one of my favorite. Jenny Lane, rest in peace.
Yeah,
awesome vocalist, awesome songwriter.
Underrated, I think.
I can't tell you how many times I've listened to Warrant over the last 2 years. That's my to-go-to music. And I saw them in their prime. I saw them right when Down Boys had came out, and they fucking killed it. So there was no going back for me, seeing that as a first concert, seeing Warrant and Motley Crue in 1987, 88. And like, dude, that was just another level. I want to do this.
Yeah. So who are the punk rock influences then?
I mean, originally, when I first discovered like punk, like Sex Pistols was another one, a big influence on me. Sex Pistols and the Ramones were my two favorites. But I also got into like the Damned. I got into Anti Nowhere League. Just there was so much of it, but after a while, it kind of just all started bleeding together for me. So I just kind of picked out a few bands, but the Sex Pistols and the Ramones have been probably the biggest influence on me as far as punk bands and writing goes. Like my line in Dead in Hollywood for Murderdolls, the DEAD, that's how I want to be is basically the Ramones, D-U-M-B, everyone's accusing me. That's what I do. So yeah.
That's cool. So now you're listening to I know you like, I heard you say like Killing Joke, but also you're listening to 70s R&B, like Curtis Mayfield, and just, do you listen to country and stuff too? Cause you have the Bourbon Crow project.
And these, like I said, these last 2 years off for the COVID, basically just sitting around, like all the music I listened to was just, I went back and listened to a bunch of old, like early, like 80s, late 70s country, the stuff that I used to hear my parents playing on the radio when I was a kid. And, you know, you don't want to like what your parents like. When I was younger, when your parents liked it, you hated it. So I didn't understand country music, wasn't on my radar. It was just like, ugh, that kind of music. But over the last 2 years, I went back and started hearing some of these songs, and they were just like, dude, it blew my mind. I'm like, whoa, I remember my mom playing this in the kitchen, you know, when I was a kid, and listen to some of these songs, and like, country music speaks to me now because I've lived my life. Like, country songs are about life struggles and things like that. And when you're a kid, you don't have life struggles then. You don't care. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't relate to me. So yeah, I just went back and listened to a lot of old country stuff, everything from like, you know, early Hank Williams Jr. stuff, which his story is amazing too. How that guy, he had like 13 albums on the top 40 charts at one time, which is
damn.
Yeah, at one time. It was like, fuck. But just the stories on some of these guys they're better than some of the rock star stories that you hear. Like Hank Williams Jr. fell off of a mountain. He fell off of a mountain and tore his face off. People don't know that. That's why
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that story.
So it's just, you know, he wrote songs about it as well. So it's just I don't know, the stories of some of those guys I relate to a little bit more. I'm also from the country. I'm from the South. So that's just another thing I could relate to. And there's just a lot of good songs, like really good. They're not really country. They're almost like pop songs. So listening to that kind of stuff. I'm a huge Eddie Money fan. I listen to Eddie Money like nonstop. I always refer to Eddie Money whenever I write a good song. If that's a hit, that's what Eddie Money would do. I'd do it like that. But I really found myself not listening to metal or anything really heavy at all. Like I said, the most current thing I hear is myself. Everything else is kind of, you know, I listen to old 80s stuff from Warrant to, you know, it's just everything I grew up on is what I kind of listen to now, and nothing new has really inspired me or something I want to listen to all the time. There's a lot of great bands out there, you know, but I don't know. I find myself listening to the older stuff.
Do people send you music a lot, like younger bands and things? Hey, check out my demo or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, on tour, bands will give me their CDs, but like I said, a lot of these bands will give me, and I could tell we're direct influence on. Like, check out my band, the Grave Robbers from Hell, and here's, oh, cool, all right, you know. So I definitely check that stuff out, but I don't get a lot of new stuff. You know, for the most part, bands just hand me their CDs, but like nobody's really forced anything on me. Or again, I'm always looking, I'm always open. My ears are always open to hear something new. I go, wow, that's cool. I like that. Like, I just heard the new Ozzy Osbourne song before we got on this podcast. And I'm like, that sounds like Ozzy to me. That's pretty cool. I'm not going to listen to it all day, but I like it.
That's cool. Yeah, because so many bands are still making music. It's you get lost in how much stuff, and it's all available. It's all for free or whatever.
I can't keep it with other bands because I can barely keep up with myself. Like I said, this is a lot of music. This is the 9th Wednesday 13 record. This is like, so it's just it's a lot to. I've noticed that for me, I was a huge music fan, but once I started my own career, and this has been what I do nonstop, I don't have the time to invest in those bands like I used to. Like I said, you mentioned Killing Joke earlier. That's probably the last band that I invested like time into, because I heard them and went, this blew my mind. This is awesome. I want to hear everything. So I went back and investigated everything they did, read their history. And that's probably the last band that I kind of like took in that caught me like that. And that was thanks to Joey as well. I'd never listened to Killing Joke. We were doing the last tour, and he goes, I want to cover this Killing Joke song. I went, I don't know any Killing Joke songs. He goes, well, listen to this. And I listened to it and went, this is amazing. Why have I not listened to this? And they became like my favorite band.
Wow.
So I'm sure something else will come along that's not new, but it'll be new to me, and I'll jump into it.
Okay. Yeah. It's kind of like I said, you get lost though, because there's so much music out there, but then it's hard. You got to like, weed through all the crap. There's a lot of crappy music too, but there's a lot of good stuff. You just got to find it. It's hard to find.
Yeah. And I think one of my hardest parts about getting into music is just the production level and sounds of, I don't know, there's just a new mix in the way people do stuff. It doesn't sound real to me anymore. It just sounds so processed and so Pro Tools and so digital that there's just no, to me. And that's my problem with a lot of the newer stuff. That's why with this new album, this record to me is just this is more of a raw rock and roll stripped down. There's no it sounds like a real record that was recorded with real instruments and real microphones, as opposed to when I hear other bands and it just sounds like it's just too processed for me. And that's just me being an older dude that that's my preference. I don't like the and stuff. So,
well, especially for rock, I never understood when rock bands use drum machines. That's a little weird to me.
It's just, everybody can do whatever they want to do. It's just my perfect picture is something that's just more rock, more real, more like what I grew up on. I like to make music that sounds like music that I listen to. And I was saying all the old hair metal, glam rock stuff. I don't think Wednesday 13 is too far removed from that sound. Like I said, we're like, we've just always, the lyrical content's what's changed us from the hair metal bands. Like we could sound like, you could hear one of our songs, oh man, that's super catchy. Then what the fuck did he just say? Your mother sucks cocks in hell? Oh. So we're like, we've always been like that violent, mean. So I think one person told it, but actually I knew who said this to me one day and I went, you're right. Chris Jericho, I remember years ago playing Download Festival. We were taking like a van back from the stage and Chris was like, man, I love Murderdolls. You guys are like a violent, faster pussycat.
That's a good description. Yeah.
It's like, that's a perfect description of what we do.
Well, those bands like Guns N' Roses, they kind of had that. I mean, some of the Guns N' Roses songs have some pretty dirty lyrics and stuff.
That's probably the first album where I heard somebody who went, whoa, he just say fucking? He say motherfucker? Like that was pretty intense. And I don't know why that always stuck out to me. Like when I heard Skid Row, get the fuck out. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Right.
That's what those bands are the reasons I have probably 20 songs now with the word fuck in the title, which is what I'm known for. I love to say fuck or motherfucker. I don't care. But all that was inspired because I would hear those bands do that. And I'm like, I want to hear more. I want to hear more bad language. So that's what I do.
I know especially when you're a kid, that stuff is like, so, cause like Guns N' Roses for me, like that was the thing. Axl Rose telling people to fuck off. Like, I know nobody likes the song, but I loved Get in the Ring. Cause I was like, he's just telling everybody to fuck off. And so I was like, this song is great.
Yeah. I remember being a kid and getting the Guns N' Roses cassette, like sixth grade was the year when that came out. And nobody really knew much about Guns N' Roses, just the first video. And when you heard It's So Easy and you heard Axl's voice change from that, like you almost like a different person singing. So all my friends were like, that's Slash. Slash sings that song. So we were all confused listening to this record thinking, oh, Axl sings all the high stuff, but all the low register stuff, that's got to be Slash. Got to be the guy with the top hat. So that was another thing I loved about Guns N' Roses. I loved his voice, how he could change. And that's something I've worked on over the years, is to do a lower register and then do my high thing that I do. So it gives me this different levels I can work with. So I don't have to just sing in one range all the time. So that's why my songs, some songs are got that the lowest register I can sing. And then some songs are the highest I could do. And I can somewhere meet in the middle on other stuff.
Yeah. And then like the Bourbon Crow, like that's you singing too, right? That sounds totally different. That doesn't sound like Wednesday 13 at all.
Bourbon Crow is me and another vocalist that switch off vocals, but I mean, it's right down the middle, 50-50. There's songs that you would never think that's me. That's just my normal voice. And, but that was a great thing too. I mean, that opened up so many doors and just broke down barriers for me, like being able to be on stage with your full band, your whole stage get up and you can kill it. But to go on stage, strip down, acoustic guitar, nothing else, and you got to win the audience over. That's a struggle, and I learned how to do it, and it was terrifying doing an acoustic tour at first. But by the time I was done, I was so proud of myself. I'm like, man, I just did a 2-hour acoustic show, and this place fucking loved it. So that definitely opened a lot of things for me, and just, I guess, made me, I don't know, maybe a better front man, because when you can, like, I don't know how to explain it to people, but if you have 300 people in a club and you've got an acoustic guitar and you can control that audience, like, it gets loud, I mean, you're literally trying to play and you can hear bottles at the bar, people throwing stuff in the trash can. Like, there's total different world, and so as terrifying as it was, it made me a better front man. And I'm glad I got to do it. Although when I finished that last acoustic tour, I'm like, I'm never doing this again for years. I don't ever want to play an acoustic guitar again. I want to hear distortion. And that's kind of my mindset now. I think it'd be cool to do an acoustic tour again, but I think I could wait it out a couple more years.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you guys so you have the American tour, and then you're doing Europe with Ministry and the 69 Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then wait, tell me about this show. I kind of want to drive up for this. It's Lita Ford, John 5, and is it Enough's Enough at the Rainbow on September 4th?
Yeah, the Rainbow, for anybody that's not familiar with Los Angeles and the Sunset Strip. I mean, the Rainbow, the whiskey, all on Sunset Strip is within walking distance. You can walk from the Rainbow to the whiskey. It's like a block.
Yeah.
You got the Roxy right there as well, another staple. The Key Club, which used to be Gazzari's, is right beside the Rainbow, but it's not active anymore. So that little area has always been famous for what it is. But in the past, I guess since COVID or whatever happened, the Rainbow took over the parking lot in between the Roxy and the Rainbow. So now when you go to the whiskey, you have this whole outdoor thing now. So it's not just the inside, the outdoor is kind of like where the parking lot used to be. And they've been doing these outdoor parties for the past few years. And I think this past year, they finally got it right. They got a real stage back there. I think Steel Panther played it maybe just a few months ago. And basically you're just basically behind the Roxy. You're just outside. There's just a giant stage, and you can go into the Rainbow and get drinks and get food and hang out. So it's the ultimate hangout thing. So for this show, all you got to do is pay for a ticket, buy 2 drinks, and get in for free. And it's an all-day thing. And I think there's bands starting at like 3 or 4 o'clock, but it's Lita Ford headlines, John 5, us, Enough's Enough is on the bill, which I fucking love Enough's Enough. I'm good friends with Chip. Looking forward to smoking weed with Chip outside the Rainbow. Chip always has the best weed. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that. That was something that got offered to us. It's 15 minutes from my house, so we can start the tour here. I can rehearse, we can go do that show, and then we get on the road. So yeah, it's always cool to do something that's not normal. So for us to play a show with Lita Ford and Enough's Enough, that's not a normal thing, but I wish it was. I wish we did more stuff like that. I mean, and I think it's going to fit well. I mean, they obviously thought we were a band that would fit that style and would fit in for it. I mean, like I said, I grew up listening to the Sunset Strip band, so it's pretty cool to be offered to go play a cool show there. So
that sounds amazing. Yeah. And John 5, dude, that guy's such a crazy, awesome guitarist.
He's an insane guitar player and probably one of the nicest guys I've ever toured with. We did, I don't know how many shows we've done with him over the past couple of years. And plus I've toured with Zombie and with Murderdolls, and John's a huge Kiss fan. I donated a bunch of my Kiss stuff to his museum, his Knights in Satan's Service thing that he does. He's a great guy. He's a big fan of Wednesday 13. He loves my voice. He thinks my autograph is the coolest autograph ever. He's like, your signature is so cool. And I'm like, is it? All right. Thanks.
That is cool. So wait, when did you toured with Zombie when you were in the Murderdolls?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When Joey was doing double duty. So he was playing drums for Rob Zombie, and then we would open up the show. So it would be, so we did that 2010, 2011. We did Rob Zombie, Alice Cooper in the States. And then we did Rob Zombie and Monster Magnet in Australia. We did a bunch of stuff, and so I got to know the zombie camp and crew and everybody. Plus, Piggy was originally in Wednesday 13 on the first album. So we're all intertwined together. We're all somehow know each other. And
do you ever talk like movies and horror stuff with Rob Zombie, or do you guys ever have like a movie night? Like that would be so cool to watch horror movies with Rob Zombie.
No, I never set a whole night or anything. But I've been around Rob a lot. I'm super excited for his Monsters thing. I think that
the remake. Yeah,
he's probably the biggest Monster fan that I know besides myself. So having him take control of that, I know you read everybody online. Oh, what's he gonna do with the Monsters? What's blah blah blah. I'm like, he's probably gonna do it justice and do it the way he wanted to see it. And I can't think of a cooler thing to have. I mean, I told Zombie, I'm like, you got the ultimate dream job. You get to play rock music and you get to make horror movies. That's what I've always wanted to do. But I've sat down with Rob. We've talked about movies and stuff before. I'm a big fan of House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. Yeah. We've definitely talked about movies and stuff, but I haven't got the honor to hang out and watch movies all night. Hopefully he'll invite me to this Monsters premiere and I can go and do that.
Well, isn't that how you got your name? Obviously, Wednesday is from Wednesday Addams, but I didn't know. I thought 13th was maybe Friday the 13th, but no, it's 1313 from the Munsters.
Yes, that was the two things I combined. I mean, I was trying to come up with a cool stage name. I mean, my real name's Joe Poole, so I can't be Joe Poole, the singer. I got to be. So I wanted something cool. Wednesday. Always loved Wednesday Addams. I really liked the remakes from Christina Ricci's. Wednesday was amazing. She was such a little bitch. And I love that. And there wasn't anybody that I saw, like I wanted a name that sounded like a rock star name or something from space and something Nikki Sixx, Ziggy Stardust. So I became Wednesday 13, give myself a number. And the 1313 was the Mockingbird thing, Mockingbird Lane, which is the address for the Monsters. And so yeah, that was kind of the combination. Although most people probably think, Friday the 13th.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
People that don't know me, even though they'll hear the band name, they still can't say it. It goes, here's Wednesday the 13th. I just let them go with it. Sorry.
So what was Audrey 3, your alter ego? Where did you come up with that one?
That's called Too Much Time on Your Hands.
Okay.
Basically, the band prior to Murderdolls was my Frankenstein Drag Queens band. And my name in the band was Wednesday 13. We constantly changed costumes and different wigs. We were just like this weird band, and I could do anything weird. So weird mind goes, oh, well, why don't I just create 13 different personalities? And I'll be Wednesday 13. I'll be Audrey 3. And I had like 3 or 4 different things that I did. The Audrey 3 was the blonde leopard outfit, which is basically named after Little Shop of Horrors. A little thing was Audrey 2. So
okay.
Audrey 3.
Gotcha.
And there was a couple other ones, but it just we didn't play enough shows to ever get all 13 of those personalities out. We played like 3 shows in 6 months. So it's an idea that I had, and I got a couple of photos and enough that you heard about it. You know what I mean? So that's about as far as it went.
All right. Well, that's cool. All right. Well, I'll let you get back to work because I know you're so busy. I do end each episode promoting a charity of some sort. Is there a charity that that you like to give a shout out to here at the end?
I like cats. So any kind of cat animal charities, things, that's my thing.
I love cats. Okay. I'll put something in the show notes that people can donate to. Do you have cats?
I have one little cat named Scream. She is my sidekick, my child. She's my fur buddy.
What color is she? Or
black as hell.
Nice.
Yeah, she's my baby. And all I do literally all day, if I'm ever have time to scroll on social media and I watch cat videos all day.
Do you ever watch? What kind do you watch though? Because sometimes I'll get like, I don't know how these come up in my news feed, but it'll be on Facebook and it'll be these ones where they're rescuing the cats and the cat's all like decrepit. I'm like, no. And it's like, and it makes you watch it because you don't want to see you want to make sure the cat's okay. It's kind of like sick in a way.
Yeah, some of those aren't my favorites, but I follow like Black Cats of Instagram, and there's just so many pages and stuff. And I
Yeah.
literally I mean, I was telling somebody one time we were flying to Europe, and we had like a 10-hour flight, and all my band guys were all in the plane. Everybody's got their little TV on, and you have hundreds of movies to choose from. The new movies, new Batman, new Avengers, new this, whatever. I'm looking over, guitar players watching Batman, other guys watching Avengers. Everyone's watching all these new movies, and I'm watching the BBC 10 Things You Didn't Know About Cats. I'm just never watching. Like, that's what I do. So yeah, I'm constantly that's my favorite thing. I don't know. I've always liked cats, but I think in the past few years it's just been like they're the most adorable, cutest things ever. Ruining my image right now by saying that. But,
no, I love it. That's awesome. All right, I'll put that in the show notes along with your website. People can check you out this summer on tour. It's gonna wait. Are you going to Europe now, or I forget when the U.S.
No. We're off basically till the tour starts September 4th at the Rainbow show we were just talking about with Lita Ford, and then that leads up to the 23rd and then of October, and then we go to Europe, and that starts with Ministry October 28th, I believe. And so that's our touring for the year. New album is out October 7th. First single is out August 7th.
Okay, I can't wait. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm just like discovering more of your music and your deep catalog and going through all of it. It's great. I love it.
It's a lot of music there. I tell people all the time, like, man, I've never heard of you. I'm like, well, if you like it, you got a lot of homework, so you can catch up on it. The ninth record, 2 Murderdoll records, 5 Frankenstein Drag Queen albums, 3 Bourbon Crow albums. So, I've been busy since I got out of high school.
I love it. Yeah, good stuff. All right, thanks so much, Wednesday.
Excellent, man. Thank you for having me, dude. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll see you later.
All right, thanks, dude.
Bye-bye. Thank you again to Wednesday 13 for coming on the show. See him on tour, and look out for the new album coming out in October, or it may already be out if you're listening to this in the future. And support my guests of the show. Follow them on social media, share their stuff, buy their merch, see them live, share their music with a friend. The guests really appreciate that. And check out some of my other episodes. If you enjoyed this one, I had on Wednesday's bandmate from the Murderdolls, AC Slade, and the old bass player and Bourbon Crow counterpart Ray Belshare was on the show. I had Doyle from the Misfits on. It's a terrible interview, but people seem to love that one for some reason. So thanks for listening. Have a great day and shoot for the moon.